Hi guys, so welcome to another episode, Expert Night Out. It had been some time since I came with this kind of chat. So I have a special guest today, and he's one of my good friends, Christian Williams, and he's a bodybuilding champion, Mr. Wales, Mr. England, Mr. London, and he has represented the UK in the World Bodybuilding Champions. And he's also the CEO of CWPT, which is the Physique transformation company, silver medalist for Personal Trainer of the Year in Dubai 2020. And he's now an author of his new book, Start a Fire. So that's one of the reason I really wanted to bring him to you guys. And welcome, Christian. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and it's been a while since me and you got to catch up, so I'm really privileged. And like I said, if I can help anybody out this evening, share some insights from my experience, I'll be more than happy to do so. So thank you.
Awesome. I mean, I've been wanting to catch up with you, especially because of this book, right? And could you tell us, like in brief, what exactly did you write? How many pages is that? Looks quite big.
Yeah, so the book is called Start a Fire. Start a fire in your heart. And it will be ready for online sale in the next few weeks, and it'll be ready for purchasing around September time, both online and in the stores in the UAE, and then testing the market in the UK and obviously the US. So I got inspired to write the book about 2 years ago. It was the anniversary of my father's death. And my father died when he was 29 years old. And for the last 4 years of his life, he documented his experience in the diary. Now, this diary was kept for me many years, and I knew that when the time was right, that I could take the diary and read the diary. So I had the diary for a few years, but I didn't really feel like the time was right to read it. I wanted to get it to a certain threshold in my life. I had no idea what the diary would be, what he would be sharing. So on the anniversary of his death 2 years ago, I was like, today's the day. I was in the process of having a few breakthroughs, releasing some of the baggages I've been carrying on for years. Because my father died when he was 6. So as you can imagine, my childhood was a little bit troubled. And after I read the diary, I got inspired to write the book telling my father's story. Now, what was quite peculiar is, although when I was reading the diary, I was not aware my father went through so much emotional and mental stress and struggles and depression and confusion. And to be honest, I never understood any of it, because up until that point, I was like a machine. I brought myself up. I never had a father. I was tough on myself. I got into martial arts, bodybuilding, everything that just relied on my ability, me, only me. I don't need anybody. That's the attitude I had. And I got inspired to tell his story. But what was really, like I said, peculiar is after I read the diary, my life started taking the same downward spiral as my father did. I mean, me and my wife went through a tremendous struggle. I felt judgment from all areas. I felt confused. My sanity was questioned by many other people, including myself. And the book is a reflection on how my father's been able to guide me from above, because I honestly felt the diary was handed to me to get me through the next phase of my life. And there's sections in the diary where I'm talking about my own experience, and you can see that it's relatable to what my father was going through, because I've actually put sections of the diary in the book as well. So the book is a contrast between my life and how my father has been able to guide me from above. Now, my father actually died in the fire, and he got out of the fire and he went back into the fire. So the book is about two men. One man who went into the fire of the unknown, rescue, his paintings, because my father's an artist, and a man who went into the fire of himself, that's me, into my heart, into the unknown, and battle my own demons. So I'm excited to release this book. It's very close to my heart.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I still haven't had a chance to get hold of a copy, but wow, that's like really, I was like getting goosebumps listening to the story, because the book I always feel is, we have so much of books around, but the importance is how you reflect yourself, and the reader, when you read it, I mean, you simply can feel what the author is trying to come up with. And it's not just like a made up story, but it's true feelings and experience, which certainly every one of us would be going similar things in our life, but in a different situations and with different stories. So what kind of chapters do you have in this book? Like for someone who just picks your book up, what do you think could be kind of a easy read, or kind of something that they can build from this book or learn from this book?
So, as I said, the book is a struggle of two men. And the reason and the intention I always wanted to write the book is, first of all, to encourage men to express more. Because, the art of writing this book itself was a really good form of expression for me. And it released a lot of tension. In all honesty, knowing what my father was going through after I read the diary, if he was expressing and talking about some of his problems and issues a little bit more, I'm sure that maybe he would have been here today. So the intention was always to help people, help young men in particular, understand their confusion and see light at the end of the tunnel, because you can get through these mental struggles and adversities. And like I said, just to encourage people to look inside and not be afraid to share their vulnerabilities with other people through judgment, and to seek help, because the book is a self-helping book. It's a bit of a biography type style book, but like I said, it does have a nice story flow to it as well.
So would you reckon, even if it will be useful for a woman as well? Do you reckon?
Yeah, of course. And another thing as well, the book is obviously clearly that, whether you believe or not, I've been made aware that there's life after death. I know, because I felt my father helped me throughout my life. I felt like this book was given to me. I even felt like I had help writing the book, because the words just flew from me. So the book will give everybody hope of knowing that there's more to life than we can see. And the way to see is to look upon the unseen as if it's been seen. So it's a beautiful story. Reading is just with no biased opinion. I have no experience of writing a book, so I've read a lot of books, but it is a beautiful story of a man making a transition and learning to accept and release and to detach his ego, which I'm still in the process of doing, to be honest. But it'll be a great book for anyone.
That's good. I mean, I like the part that detaching from ego, because that's something that every one of us are struggling in different forms. And we all have our own versions of egos. And like when you say ego, it's not like just the attitude, but it's also, I would say, some people would have ego as a character, which without even knowing that it's something that is blocking you from your progress. It's that deep. So I'm glad it's going to be beneficial for anyone who just grabs this book. I mean, it's because, as I said, I love reading books that gives true stories, because then you can relate instead of just giving instructions and saying, okay, do this kind of thing. I know you've been talking about writing your book for some time since we met, and I was quite excited when you announced that you have finished and it's ready. What do you think, kind of like from your experience, how do you keep yourself motivated? Especially, this is your first book, and I know you're super busy. You have your clients back and forth. How did you manage to finish this?
Well, like I said, I started the book 2 years ago, really, where the intention was there. The idea started, and I had no idea about the start, the middle, or the end, how many chapters the book would have, how many words the book would have. It actually has 13 chapters, and it's 52,000 words. It was like 65,000, but we were chopping it down. But I had no idea how to start, to be honest. But the intention was there, which is all I needed. And I'm a bit of a visionary in that sense. I really like to focus on the end goal. And my intention was always to help other people through my words and through my father's blessings as well. So I started writing the book. And what tended to happen is, as you said, I just got busy and things get, in the way, and we procrastinate for too long and we put things off. And then lockdown struck. So I seized the moment. I was writing for 6 hours a day for 5 days a week for a month solid. And I finished the book. Well, I finished the first draft for lockdown when lockdown happened last year in Dubai. Because obviously I was less busy. I knew things were going to be a bit slow. So I capitalized that moment. And then I had to keep going back to the book and editing it and, reading it again and so forth, which I did. And then I deliberately spent around 9 months away from the book. 9 months, probably, although the first draft was done and it been proofread. And the reason being is, first of all, I was releasing a lot of vulnerabilities in the book. I'm opening myself up, sharing my weaknesses and so forth, in hope that other people will do the same. But also, being a writer now, because I'm not an author, I can say an author. I find sometimes you need to take a little bit of a break away from when you got your head down, and you need to come back from a different perspective and read it from a reader's point of view. And that way, then I was able to make some final tweaks to it before I actually sent it off. And being an artist as well, I mentioned I've been bodybuilding for many years, and my father was an artist, so I kind of have that gift passed on. When it's finished, and when it was finished, it was finished. And now it's like I could write it better, but as it is, it's ready to go out. Yeah. And I'm happy with that. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
You did very well. And the fact that you said, you take a break and come back and then you can do like better. It's kind of like, I totally believe in that, because especially like as a coach, like you really want to be focused, and because you have to be there for your clients, and like, the responsibility is on your shoulders all the time. And sometimes I personally have experienced this. Like there are times where you come to a level where you just get stuck and you're like, okay, yeah, I know what I have to do, but I'm like, I just cannot get that done, and no matter, and that's like the time if you capture that, and if you just, okay, say, this is the time I want to reset myself, take a break, go back, come, and it's like you're a different person. You can, especially when you're doing something very creative, the level you're starting doesn't matter.
You need the time, and that's one thing I've learned. Going back 4 degrees a few weeks ago, it was the first time in probably 5 years where I've taken a full week off. Because I'm always working, even when we've been to the Maldives, I've been laptops up and I'm doing things. So in that time, I was able to relax my mind and the pressure of just life's expectations, and and I come up with so many great creative strategic ideas to move forward. But to go back to your question as well, it takes tremendous discipline. It does. And discipline is not doing the things you love, like going to the gym for me every single day doesn't require any discipline at all, because I love to do it. Discipline is doing the things that you don't particularly want to do, but it's going to lead to what you want to lead to. So with the book in particular, and anything you do, because look, once the book is on the shelves, it's done. You can't go back, you can't change things. I looked at this as a long-term investment. And as much as I got a lot of clients and a lot of demand of myself, I knew that if I do this right, I write this book correct, not only will I be able to tell the story of obviously my father, myself, all people like my son to be will be benefited from the read. And also as well, I'm going to donate all the royalties from this book to helping young men in a charity that I've started called Fatherly Brothers, young boys who have lost their father. I'm going to start providing a ribbon figure for them. So all the royalties will go for them. So I always had the focus in mind that the purpose and the drive behind doing this is bigger than me. So, the sacrifice I was willing to make at the time was what's important to me now is not necessarily what's important to everybody else. This book may affect and impact for the better. So focus on the end result. That's any advice I would give to anyone else.
That's awesome. I mean, I was actually going to ask you, I mean, I have been always looking at you like someone who is always on time and keep up the word and like a real transformational coach, right? The real coach attitude. And at times I used to wonder, does he procrastinate? Because every one of us have our own ways of procrastinating things. I know you told me when you were writing the book, there were days when you had to, were not able to do things. But in daily routine, like I know the passion is, you have the passion, so you have the energy to do it. But anything else that you procrastinate on?
Well, I think, what is procrastination? It's literally when you don't move forward. So there's certain things that I would definitely wait until the time is right. And that's a decision that is a decision made, okay, this is not the right time for this. But what I see in a lot of people in bodybuilding has taught me this tremendously. Because, I'm bodybuilding since I was a junior back in 2008. And my physique was far from perfect. The look I wanted in my mind to achieve, actually I didn't achieve until around 2017. And that's kind of why I've walked away from bodybuilding over the last year or so, because I achieved what I wanted to achieve. But up until that point, I never did. And I saw a lot of people talk about competing and talk about getting up on stage, but they procrastinated so much because they were waiting for that perfect look that was like miles in the future. It was stopping them from taking action. So what I've learned from my own doing is, look, you make a start, okay, you get things moving, and then you gain momentum. And from the momentum comes more confidence. So I don't really procrastinate at all, really. I never put things off that I want to do. Whatever I want to do, I get it moving. And often enough, I got no expectations of what it's going to lead to. But I'm driven by this inner voice and my inner dialogue. I have a lot of conversations with myself and my intuition. I trust it. And whenever I get this kind of suggestion to move in a direction, I move. I don't ask questions and I just go with it. And often the outcome might not be necessarily what I assume it would be or what I want it to be. But what I've learned is it's always what I needed to experience, always. And even the times when I've done things and I've been socially humiliated, or I've got up on stage, for example, I go back to bodybuilding where I didn't look the way I wanted to and I felt embarrassed. It was always beneficial because it led me to more momentum forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's our way of understanding our intuition, that inner voice. The more and more I'm all about this. I mean, I'm glad that you are bringing this up, because I mean that's the only way. Because we are surrounded by so much of noise, and the noise is around us, within us. Our cycle, and the noises within us as well, these loud noises. And it's very easy for us not to hear this inner little voice. So the more and more we tap into that, that's when we are going to be coming out the real way that we are supposed to be expressed. So
but also on that, if I can jump in there, what I've noticed, right, and I think every single person who's listening will vow for this, is every time something didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or it didn't work out the way you expected it to, there was always a time where you knew you shouldn't have done it. It would be like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, but we choose not to listen to this inner voice.
Yes.
And if you rewind back and you think every single moment that didn't work out for the better, or you seem like it didn't, there was always that inner voice. And I talk about my intuition a lot in the book, where, you know, I've used it's hard to distinguish sometimes the difference between and intuition. And again, it's like any relationship, because there are other dimensions. You know, we live in the third dimension. There's multiple dimensions. You know, it is all about building that relationship. Like every relationship, it starts with trust. Once you start to trust this intuition that drives you forward, you become so confident in trusting it that you don't have to think twice. It's decision made, and then you go in that direction.
Beautiful. Yeah. And life becomes very easy. You don't need to run to your you know, your coaches all the time to double check whether, you know, this is right and everything. I mean, I totally understand, and it's beautiful. I mean, that's what I feel is true freedom, because you are because there's something above you and within you. It's
you have to surrender.
Absolutely.
You have to surrender, and ego will not let anyone surrender, because ego is, I'm above everybody else. But you have to surrender to this being, like we talk about, God, the universe, the divine, higher self, call it whatever you want, but it's there because every single person talks to that person. Every single person has a conversation. So it's all about just accepting and surrendering, and then, you know, putting yourself, and this is another thing that I've learned that's been tremendously beneficial for me. There's two ways to achieve any goal. I wasn't aware, but, you know, I'm aware now. It's through force and control. So the last probably 30 years of my life, I was just through force. I was pushing myself to the top of whatever I wanted to climb. And I did, but it was very exhausting, you know, and it was a constant mental battle. If you get everything aligned and you focus on, like you said, clearing your thoughts and trusting your intuition, you can achieve your goals by being in the flow. And being in the flow is literally the opportunities just turn up. And you want something, work on it, and the opportunity comes. And if it doesn't come, it's because you haven't noticed it.
Absolutely. It's like, I mean, you have two ways. You either coil yourself and achieve your goals and become successful, but there is a point where you will feel it. And but there's another way of becoming successful, is when you start tapping into this intuition and connecting with, as you said, God, you know, the higher soul, the universe, whatever you want to call, then it's a smooth game, because every step you get, you're going to have so many doors open wide, and your effort is going to be very smooth, and you're not going to be working from flesh, but it's actually in a different way. So I totally believe it, and I learned it my hard way as well. So I know how exactly the life is. I mean, I would love to go on with you, but I wanted to keep up with the time. Christian, what is your advice for people out there who are trying to write their books or want to do something, but they just don't know where to start? What do you think?
It starts with focus. You know, it starts with focus is the first thing, which is attention. Another word for attention. It's intense focus. And then once you have focus, it takes the commitment to move. Then it takes the consistency to keep moving. And then it takes the discipline to keep doing it. And you could relate this to focus, you could relate this to trust, you could relate it to faith, and then you could relate it to loyalty to that. So first thing is focus. And where most people go wrong is they don't know how to focus. But all you have to do is just put your finger up in front of your face and focus on your finger. And if you focus on your finger long enough and nothing else, just your finger, all will tend to happen is everything else in the background will start to fade and it'll become blurry and eventually it'll disappear until all you can see is your finger. And then you try the opposite way around. You hold your finger up and then you look through your finger and you focus behind the finger. And after some time, when you notice your finger will just disappear and you won't see the finger. So what that tells us is where focus goes, energy flows. And if you get 100% focused on your goal and you focus on only that, everything else will just move out of the way and you won't even be aware of it. And you will just see one clear path towards that goal. And try it, like I said, you could do this in about 2 or 3 minutes and the exercise will work brilliantly.
Yes.
Once you understand this, you understand that you have the capability of focusing on anything you want and blinding away things that have no benefit to you.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, because focus is something that we all tend to deviate from, right? Last thing, I just wanted to ask you, where can we order your book? Would you like to just share that before we wind up?
Yes, so the book will be pre-ordered in the next couple of weeks, and we can get this on. It'll be on my website, christianwilliamspt.com. Once it's ready, because it's not going to be released until September time, we'll be able to download this on Amazon and a few other online platforms, as well as Boulders, I believe, in the UAE, and so forth. But if anybody wants to follow me, it's Christian Williams PT on pretty much all platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, my website, my YouTube channel. There's going to be a lot of plugging this book over the next couple of weeks that start a fire. And like I said, the reason for that is because I want to donate all the royalties to a charity to help young men, young boys who was like I once was. So, and again, one more thing on that, any advice for people out there is if your passion is bigger than you, if you're passionate about helping other people, okay, and you really surrender to this calling, everything you need will come your way. This book is going to be tremendously successful. The best thing is no attachment to it. It's not for me. But because I'm doing this in the art of giving with no expectations for nothing in return, everything it needs to take off on its own and help the right people will be delivered. So follow me, christianwilliamspt.com or christianwilliamspt, and you'll see much links to this book coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Beautiful. Awesome, Christian. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be actually sharing the links in the comments as well, so people can get connected with you. And I truly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.